Hey, what's up? Thanks for watching. In today's video I'm going to show you how I made the baby blocks, and just like our other video, the plans to make these are on Etsy. I also made a rustic one. This is just using stained. Let me show you real quick the reason I like the size that we built, because you can go to Michael's. I'll show right now. You can get these letters. They're like $1.50 or $2, something like that. They're like paperish cardboard. You can spray paint them, so I spray paint them gold, but anytime someone wants custom lettering or anything like that, you just spray paint them. They last maybe about three different coats of 3 different colors. After a while it kind of flakes, but really good. You just put some stickies on the back. It works perfect like that. Let's get started. And if you don't have access to a table saw, which I'm going to cut on my cut list with the table saw, circular saw works just great. I'm going to show you on this cut how you can do it. You're just going to trace out the size from the cut list and just use this. Go slow. Make sure you use a mask. Alright, I just finished cutting all these things. We got a bunch of runners that I cut, plywood, and the MDF. Again, all this can be cut with a circular saw. I have a table saw, so just knocked it out quicker. But if you take your time and make sure you use the clamps, you can cut these with the circular saw. It may take a little more time. Go slow to make sure you get as clean as edge as you can. Inside the box, I'm using these dowels. You can get them from Lowe's or Home Depot, 2x4, and kind of slice into the size you need it, or 1x2s. These are just the ones I'm using, easier to get. You'll see them, they're in the dowel aisle, the wood aisle at Home Depot or Lowe's, or any box store has them. And so to put this together, the easier way is to use a brad nail gun. I'm going to use my Ryobi brad nail gun. Works great. And some wood glue. The brad nails kind of hold it in place so the wood glue really sticks together and holds it solid. But if you pre-drill, you can also just do this with a drill. You gotta be a little more cautious, because if you don't pre-drill, like drill out a little bit before you put in the screw, you'll actually cause these to split. You don't want this, and that'll kind of ruin it. So pre-drill, if you're gonna use screws, I'll show you how to do that. But the best thing is a brad nail. It works really simple, really quick. And another thing just to know, so if you're building a box, I know you would think it'd be as simple, just cut all the squares the same size, but to build the box to be exactly the size we want, there's actually 3 different sizes: smaller size, medium size, and a bigger size. And the way they fit together, you get a perfect clean box. So I'm just going off my plans right here. Has a cut list and everything that I need for this setup. Alright, now we cut these to the size we need. Alright, say you don't have a nail gun and you're going to use screws. You can use screws, but you have to pre-drill. Use a drill bit like this one, because if not, the wood will split and it won't be any good. I also recommend using a countersink. They kind of give a little bit of a space so the drill will kind of go, the screw will actually sit flat. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but it created like a little indentation, a little pivot where the screw will just sit flat, and it'll be flat with the wood, easier to cover. And since we pre-drilled Goes in smooth, flat. Once you cover it with putty, you're not gonna feel any of that. Perfect. The wood didn't split. So if you are gonna screw, I'd recommend doing that pre-drill through there. So when you screw through here, the wood won't split. Came out good. And that countersink made it flush, so none of the screws sit on top. Very easy to kind of fill that in, cover it with putty, sand it off. You'll never even notice the screw is there. Let's see what's next. Alright, very important, if you're gonna drill again, do the same thing. Use the drill bit, the countersink, and then drill it in to make sure it doesn't split. Got all my side attachments cut. It's 3 different sizes because there's 3 different sizes on here. Glues and a nail gun. Also, if you don't have the nail gun for this one, you can use screws, but I would recommend maybe just using a little nail and just a hammer it in. You're gonna want to do the sides of the box first. It's important. Make sure you do the sides because you're gonna end up covering them. And if you're not sure about cutting the runners, what I would do first is cut the ones on that run vertical. Place those on there, and then you can measure for each one to make sure the measurements are exactly where you feel like it should be. Sometimes those runners, if you don't put them exactly, can be a little off. So it may be safer if you're unsure on the cutting and the placement. Cut and place the vertical runners first, and then measure between each individual runner just to make sure your measurements are accurate before you cut them and place them in. Once the sides are done, you can do the front. The reason you want to do that is because you wait to do the front because you want to overlap and cover all these like that. Because if not, it's going to look sketchy. You'll be able to see a line. Pick a front and do the sides. I always tack at least one side, the top first, then I kind of set the bottom where it needs to be tacked at, and then tack the middle. Just to make sure we're lined up. Top, lined up, middle, middle. Plastic wood filler. You can use just a little sponge sander. I'm gonna use Rust-Oleum primer first, and then I'll put the glossy white. Remember, light, short coats are better than one thick coat because then it'll start running and it'll look ugly. And just let that dry. These are just some scrap 1-bys that I have. I'm just gonna use these. You can use these, these work. The 3 different sizes you need. 3 different sizes. Some stain. Glossy white. I also did want to say, if you thought cutting those runners was difficult, you can also just go buy runners that you would like at Lowe's or Home Depot. This is at Lowe's, and they have different sizes of runners that you may buy. Whatever you think looks good to you. According to the plans, you might have to adjust them. Cut the runners first, put the runners up, and then measure each one in between on the horizontal slats, the horizontal runners, and cut those individually just to make sure you're measuring them just right. And also, if you didn't want to buy if you were looking for the dowels or anything like that, you didn't want to cut those, you can just buy the dowels here. Here's an example of these. You can get these or anything like this, similar in size, that you can put a screw through or nail through, and it'll be solid. That would cut a lot of the work out. It would kind of bring up the price, but you wouldn't have to do all the cutting using the table saw and such things like that.